We're drawn to the abyss, the unknown, the place where order dissolves and chaos reigns. We tell ourselves it's the thrill, the mystery. But it's more than that. It's the unsettling realization that out there in the shadows, some walk among us untouched by consequence. Ghosts in the machine. These are the stories of 7 such figures, 7 phantoms who operated with impunity, leaving behind a tapestry of fear and unanswered questions. This is a journey into the darkness, into the minds of those who commit the unspeakable and vanish without a trace. Northern California, the late 1960s. A time of peace, love, and a rising tide of fear. Because hidden within the counterculture movement, a predator stalked the shadows. The Zodiac Killer, a name whispered in hushed tones, a spectre haunting the headlines. His playground, lovers' lanes, secluded roads, places where vulnerability met its end. 5 confirmed victims, each a life extinguished, a family shattered. But the Zodiac claimed far more. He craved recognition, validation, a macabre spotlight on his reign of terror, and so came the letters. Taunting, cryptic messages sent to newspapers, filled with ciphers and threats, each one a chilling reminder of his power. The ciphers became an obsession, a desperate attempt to crack the code, to understand the killer's motives, his identity. Some were solved, revealing twisted boasts and veiled threats. Others remain unbreakable, a testament to his cunning. The investigation was relentless. Thousands of leads, suspects interrogated, lives turned upside down, but the Zodiac remained elusive, a ghost in the machine. Was he a master manipulator, a chameleon blending into the crowd? Or a phantom vanished into thin air, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a legacy of fear? The years have passed, but the Zodiac's shadow lingers, a chilling reminder that some mysteries may never be solved, some monsters never brought to justice. 1888. London, a city shrouded in fog, both literal and metaphorical. The gaslights cast long shadows, illuminating a stark contrast between opulence and despair. In the heart of Whitechapel, poverty and vice intertwined. It was here, in this labyrinth of cobbled streets and dimly lit alleys, that Jack the Ripper chose his prey. He came for the forgotten, the women who walked the line between survival and exploitation. Prostitutes, their lives deemed disposable, their deaths barely a ripple in the city's vast fabric. But these were not mere killings. They were mutilations, acts of unspeakable savagery that shocked even the most hardened police officers. The Ripper, like the fog itself, seemed to materialize from nowhere, leaving a trail of blood and terror in his wake. Then, just as quickly, he vanished. Letters signed Jack the Ripper arrived at newspapers and police stations. Were they genuine, or the cruel taunts of a sick mind seeking notoriety? Suspects emerged from the fog doctors, butchers, even members of the royal family, each with their own dark secrets, their own potential for violence. Yet none could be definitively linked to the crimes. Jack the Ripper became a legend, a boogeyman whispered in hushed tones. His reign of terror might have ended, but the fear he instilled, the questions he left unanswered, continue to haunt us to this day. Picture New Orleans in the years after the Great War. Jazz is starting to crawl out of the back alleys, but a different kind of rhythm is haunting the city. This isn't the French Quarter you see in postcards. This is a city suffocating under a stifling humidity, a place where shadows seem to have teeth. The newspapers called him the Axeman, and he wasn't content with just taking lives. He wanted to take the city's sanity with him. He'd break into homes in the dead of night, always choosing the cover of darkness. Families would wake to the thud of an axe, the screams of loved ones echoing in the dark. The Axeman's calling card was the brutality of his crimes. He didn't just kill, he mutilated. His victims, often Italian immigrants, were found with their faces nearly unrecognizable. Then came the letter, a chilling correspondence sent to the newspapers, penned by a madman claiming to be the Axeman himself. He promised death to anyone who didn't play jazz music on a specific night. Imagine the fear that gripped the city that night. The streets, normally alive with music, were eerily silent, save for the desperate wail of trumpets and trombones in every home. The Axeman vanished into the night as quickly as he'd appeared, leaving behind a city forever scarred and a mystery that continues to haunt us. Who was this monster and what drove him to such horrific acts? From the dark alleys of New Orleans, we travel across the Atlantic to the sun-drenched hills of Tuscany. But even in paradise, darkness can take root. And in the case of the monster of Florence, it blossomed into a nightmare. Imagine yourself driving along a moonlit road, cypress trees lining the path, their shadows stretching like long fingers across the asphalt. You find a secluded spot, the promise of intimacy in the air. "16 murders, 16 lives extinguished, and with each victim, the monster of Florence tightened his grip on the Italian psyche. He became a boogeyman, a whisper in the wind that sent chills down the spines of lovers and law enforcement alike. The investigation was a tangled web, false leads, coerced confessions, and a revolving door of suspects. Some were even convicted, their lives sacrificed on the altar of public pressure. But the killings continued. The Monster of Florence case became an indictment of the Italian justice system, a stark reminder that even in the face of unimaginable horror, truth can be elusive. Did the real Monster of Florence die a free man, or is he still out there, a ghost in the Tuscan hills, waiting for the right moment to claim his next victim? The California dream, sunshine, beaches, and the promise of a better life. But in the shadows of that golden promise, a darkness was festering, a terror that crept in through unlocked windows and shattered the illusion of safety. This wasn't a monster confined to the back alleys or red light districts. This was a predator who stalked the suburbs. He invaded the one place we all believe to be sacred, our homes. The original Night Stalker's reign of terror spanned a decade, his appetite for violence growing with each passing year. He graduated from rape to murder, his victims chosen seemingly at random, bound and silenced in their own homes. He was a chameleon, disappearing into the night as easily as he arrived. He toyed with law enforcement, leaving behind taunting clues and chilling phone calls. Imagine the fear that gripped California in those years. The constant dread, the knowledge that somewhere out there a monster walked among them. A monster who could be anyone, your neighbor, the man behind you in line at the grocery store. It took over 40 years and advancements in DNA technology to finally unmask the monster hiding in plain sight. Joseph James D'Angelo, a former police officer, a husband, a father. The face of evil, hiding behind a veil of normalcy. The Depression, a time when the American dream turned into a nightmare for so many. Nowhere was this felt more keenly than in the industrial heartland, in cities like Cleveland, Ohio. But the economic despair couldn't hold a candle to the sheer terror that gripped the city during the mid-1930s. This wasn't about lost jobs or foreclosed homes. This was something far more primal. This was about a killer who turned the city's underbelly into his own gruesome butcher shop. They called him the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run. His victims, often drifters, the forgotten souls society overlooked, were found in pieces, their bodies drained of blood, often decapitated, dismembered. It was as if someone had studied anatomy diagrams not to heal, but to hone a morbid craft. Even Elliot Ness, fresh from his victory over Al Capone in Chicago, couldn't stop the carnage. The man who had once been the face of justice and order, who had taken down one of the most notorious gangsters in American history, now found himself powerless against a new kind of evil. He was the city's safety director then, a symbol of law and order in a city spiraling into chaos. Cleveland, a city that had once thrived, was now gripped by fear and uncertainty. The citizens looked to Ness for protection, but even his formidable reputation couldn't shield them from the horrors that were unfolding. But the Mad Butcher, he operated in a different realm, a phantom preying on the vulnerable, his motives as murky as the Cuyahoga River that snaked through the city. This killer was unlike any Ness had faced before, a shadowy figure who seemed to strike at will, leaving a trail of terror in his wake. Some whispered that the killer had medical knowledge, the way he dissected his victims, so clean, so precise. The precision of the cuts suggested a practiced hand, someone who knew the human body intimately. It was this chilling detail that led many to believe the killer was a doctor or someone with surgical training. Others, they clung to rumors of a vengeful spirit, a demon taking human form to extract a bloody toll from the city. Superstition and fear ran rampant. And in the absence of concrete answers, the imagination of the public filled the void with tales of the supernatural. Theories abounded, suspects were questioned and released, but the killings continued, each one a stark reminder of Ness's inability to protect the city from this unseen terror. The police were relentless in their pursuit, but the Mad Butcher always seemed to be one step ahead, eluding capture and leaving the city in a state of perpetual dread. The mystery of the Cleveland torso murderer remains unsolved to this day. Despite the best efforts of law enforcement, the identity of the killer remains a dark enigma, a ghost story that haunts Cleveland to this very day. He vanished into the fog and shadows of Kingsbury Run, leaving behind a legacy of fear and unanswered questions. The area, once a bustling part of the city, became synonymous with death and despair, a place where the echoes of the past still linger. Did he die? Did he flee? The questions remain, gnawing at the collective consciousness of the city. Each theory, each possibility only adds to the legend of the Mad Butcher. Or did he simply find a new hunting ground, content to let the spectre of his crimes linger over Cleveland like a shroud? The fear he instilled, the lives he shattered, continue to cast a long shadow, a reminder that some mysteries are never meant to be solved. Long Island, a place of sprawling beaches and quiet suburbs, a haven for families seeking refuge from the crush of city life. But beneath the veneer of normalcy, a darkness festered, a darkness that revealed itself in the most gruesome way imaginable. It began in 2010. The discovery of 4 bodies, all young women, all escorts, their remains carefully concealed within the dunes of Gilgo Beach. The news sent shockwaves through the island, shattering the illusion of safety. This wasn't supposed to happen here, not in their backyard. Years have passed and the investigation continues, with each passing day adding more layers to the mystery. Theories abound, suspects have been named, and countless hours have been spent analyzing every piece of evidence, but the killer remains elusive. The victims, mostly women caught in desperate circumstances, are more than just statistics, more than just names on a police report. They were individuals with dreams, hopes, and stories of their own. They were daughters, sisters, mothers. Their lives mattered deeply to those who loved them, and their absence leaves a void that can never be filled. The families of the victims, they cling to the hope of justice, of closure, but the answers remain tantalizingly out of reach. Each day without resolution is a day of renewed pain and unanswered questions. The Long Island serial killer took more than just lives. He stole their peace of mind, leaving behind a community forever haunted by his crimes. The fear and uncertainty rippled through the community, affecting everyone. The vastness of the internet, the anonymity it provides, it became his hunting ground, a tool to lure his victims. The digital age has given predators new ways to hide and hunt. He understood the digital world, how to exploit its shadows, to disappear into the very fabric of the internet itself. His knowledge of technology made him a ghost in a machine, and as the investigation continues, one can't help but wonder, is he out there, watching, waiting, planning his next move? The uncertainty keeps everyone on edge, knowing that the threat may still be lurking in the shadows. And there you have it, 7 serial killers who were never caught. These are not just stories. They are chilling realities that haunt the annals of criminal history. 7 stories that illustrate the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface, hidden in plain sight, waiting to strike when least expected. The evil that can flourish in the shadows, undetected and unchallenged, is a terrifying thought. These cases are a stark reminder that not all crimes are solved, that justice is not always served. Some monsters walk among us, their true faces hidden behind masks of normalcy, blending seamlessly into society. Their motives remain a chilling enigma. We've explored their crimes, delved into their psyche, and tried to understand what drove them to commit such unspeakable acts. Yet, despite our efforts, the answers remain elusive, shrouded in mystery and speculation. But the answers remain elusive, lost in a labyrinth of speculation and unanswered questions. Lost in a labyrinth of speculation and unanswered questions, these cases continue to baffle even the most seasoned investigators. Perhaps their identities will forever remain a mystery, their secrets buried with their victims, never to be unearthed. Their secrets buried with their victims, leaving behind a trail of sorrow and unanswered questions. Or perhaps one day, a breakthrough will occur. A piece of evidence will surface that will finally shed light on these dark mysteries. A piece of evidence will surface, a clue that will unravel the tangled web of these unsolved cases. And the truth, however unsettling, will finally be revealed, bringing closure to the victims' families and justice to the perpetrators. If you found this video intriguing, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to your channel name for more deep dives into the world of true crime. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to your channel name for more deep dives into the world of true crime. What do you think? Could these killers still be out there lurking in the shadows, or have they taken their secrets to the grave? Or have they taken their secrets to the grave, leaving us with only questions and no answers? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe and stay curious. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe and stay curious. Until next time, keep questioning and keep exploring the unknown.